Hi, I'm Halftime Hugh, and today I'm going to be talking about how every team stands after the NBA offseason. Yes, I know, the offseason is not officially over yet, but all the big moves have happened. So instead of ranking all 30 teams on where they stand, I did this by tiers. So tier number 1, we got the contenders, the teams that are actively ready to win a championship, in my mind. Tier number 2, we have potential contenders, teams that are just missing one or two pieces. Tier number 3, make or break teams. Now these are teams that are either going all in or nothing. Either the team is competing and breaking expectations, or they're going nowhere and the team falls apart. Tier number 4, wild cards. Now, it kind of sounds like make or break, but the difference is these are young teams that could go anywhere. Teams that are under the radar, whereas make or break are teams that everybody knows a lot about and that have a lot to prove. Tier number 5 is stuck in the middle. It's a very small tier, but it's just a few teams that aren't going anywhere and they haven't done anything to prove that they will go somewhere soon. And then the 6th and final tier is flag pulling. Teams that are in the rebuilding process and are tanking for number 1 prospect Cooper Flag. So the first team in the contenders category are the Boston Celtics. This is the obvious one. They just won an NBA championship. But since they just won a championship, how are they not contenders for next year? Plus, they've kept their team over the offseason. They re-signed Tillman and Cornet, and they extended both Jayson Tatum and Derek White. Now the next team in the NBA that I would consider a contender right now are the Oklahoma City Thunder. First of all, last season, they were the second youngest team in the NBA playoffs in history and the youngest number 1 seed ever. And they made it to the second round, which is pretty good. So they have the most upside out of any team in the league, just based on their age, where they're at, and where they're going from here. The biggest thing that helped the Thunder this offseason was signing Isaiah Hartenstein. They had all the money to sign him, and they went all in for him. The addition of Hartenstein fixes their problems of not being big enough. Now they added a true center, which allows Chet Holmgren to play the power forward and leave more rebounding duties for Isaiah Hartenstein. This also allows them to compete more evenly against the big teams in the West, like Denver, Minnesota, and Dallas, who all have very tall starting fives. In addition, they also traded Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso. Now, while Josh Giddey will be better in the long term, they're in win now mode, and Alex Caruso will be better now. He does all the little things, and he's really good on defense. In addition, the Thunder were able to keep their bench this offseason with re-signing Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe. So overall, the team with the most upside in the league has just improved in the offseason. They are a serious contender in my mind and a serious threat to every team in the league. The third team that I think is ready to contend for a championship next year in the NBA are the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are a scary team, and they proved that in the playoffs. Not only did they sweep a Phoenix Suns team that thought they could win a championship this year, but they also took down the defending champs. And all this is mainly because of Anthony Edwards. He is one of the most promising players in the league. I do have to admit, I wasn't sold on Anthony Edwards for a long time, but in this year's playoffs, he really proved that he is a star and he is ready to win now, and he's just going to get better and better. The next contender in the league right now are the New York Knicks. This comes as no surprise, as Jalen Brunson just keeps getting better and better. And then they traded for Mikal Bridges. Yes, they did give up a lot of future picks, but the Knicks are going all in right now. In addition, an advantage that the New York Knicks have is that they have the best chemistry out of any team in the league. Jalen Brunson, Donte DiVincenzo, Mikal Bridges, and Josh Hart all played together at Villanova, and they're all best friends. So the Mikal Bridges transition onto the New York Knicks should be very smooth. And yes, they did lose Isaiah Hartenstein in free agency to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but they had their priorities. Their priorities were re-signing OG Anunoby, their best defensive player, and of course, trading for Mikal Bridges. They just didn't have the cap space to keep Hartenstein, and they'll be okay without him. Yes, it is a little bit of a loss, but they still have Mitchell Robinson. They're not a small team compared to the other teams in the East. Now, I'm not done with the contenders. There are more. And the next one are the Philadelphia 76ers. I know you've been probably waiting for me to say Philly for a while now, but they're not at the top of the contending tier because frankly, I'm not sure if I trust the process. For 7 seasons straight, they've been expected to contend for a championship, maybe even win it all, and they haven't made it past the second round of the playoffs once. And besides the 2021 Ben Simmons problem, the main reason why they haven't made it out of the second round is because of the health of Joel Embiid, their star player. However, once again, they still are contenders because they signed Paul George. Now they have the best big three in the league. They also re-signed Kelly Oubre Jr. and added Andre Drummond and Eric Gordon. On paper, they are the best team, but can they stay healthy and can they perform in the playoffs? Well, we'll see. Now the last team that I think could win a championship this upcoming season are the Dallas Mavericks. And yes, that is mainly due to playoff success. They did make the NBA Finals last year. And after all, Luka is without doubt a top 3 player in the league right now, if not the best. However, with that being said, I'm not a huge fan of what the Mavs did in the offseason. They did sign Klay Thompson, and that is a gamble. I do think Klay will do better than he did last season, but Klay is inconsistent now. You don't know when he'll show up or how good he'll be when he does. And then losing Derrick Jones Jr. was definitely a loss. Derrick Jones Jr. was a really key part of that NBA Finals run, and he's a young player with potential. But in the end, after making the NBA Finals and not having a terrible offseason, I think the Mavs deserve to remain as contenders.